Another year, another Hell in a Cell match card where not enough matches are announced by Saturday. What's good, Internet? My name is HIAC. This is my WWE Hell in a Cell 2020 predictions video. Let me know who you think is going to win down in the comments below. So last year, we had 4 matches announced on Saturday. The actual show had 9 matches, right? This year, we have 5 matches announced on Saturday morning. We still don't know what's going to be happening on Sunday evening, but let's get down to Hell in a Cell and what is announced here for this show. Number 1, Jeff Hardy versus Elias, with some long-term booking here in that Elias thinks that Jeff Hardy hit him with a car. He didn't. It was Sheamus. But they have a grudge match to settle here at Hell in a Cell. Not in Hell in a Cell, thankfully. There's already 3 of those. But Splash Mountain on Jey Uso. Good for him. So, we have this match between Jeff Hardy and Elias, the returning Elias. And usually I will bet on the returning guy or girl every time, even if that's not always the case. But I will still bet on Elias here for this match. Now, Otis versus The Miz. And the winner gets that Money in the Bank briefcase. There is history for that happening between Mr. Kennedy and Edge. So at the time, Kennedy was injured. So that's kind of why that happened back then. But now, nobody's injured. So you wonder, does Otis retain that Money in the Bank contract, or does it go to The Miz? I think neither guy right now would realistically be cashing in on Roman or Drew. The question is, who's going to win here, right? And the point with Money in the Bank being not cashed in yet, it's only been 167 days. So Otis still has 198 days remaining, right? Which is a long time. A lot can happen in almost 200 days on that clock until the next Money in the Bank. But I feel like at a certain point, they've brought themselves into a corner with this matchup, right? Because, again, I don't think either guy would cash in successfully. But certainly, Miz is a former world champion, and that's, you know, a notch in his belt there. And considering you have 200 days left, you could make Otis into a serious contender. But at the same time, you've booked your champion so strongly, I don't think even the opportunity of Money in the Bank would faze them. They would just manage to hit their big moves and survive that cash-in. And also, Money in the Bank really needs a crowd. Like a cash-in, you're counting on that crowd reaction, and the ThunderDome is just not quite there for the reaction you want. So, do you think that, alright, keep holding on to it, and in the next 200 days, would you have a crowd back? Like, anything could happen in, you know, that amount of time. But I think that Otis does retain his briefcase here, and Miz gets vanquished, and that'll be the ending of that chapter between those two. Hopefully, maybe, because they're on different brands, right? Miz is on Raw now, and Otis is still SmackDown. So this is kind of, again, they've booked Hell in a Cell right next to a brand split, much like last year, which is why their card is so anemic for being announced on a Saturday with a Sunday show. And Jey Uso times 2 with the super kick fall into the pin, but no, the Tribal Chief still kicks out. So, we have 3, count them, 3 announced Hell in a Cell matches here. So, I would imagine one at the beginning, one in the middle, and one at the very end. And that, to me, says that you'll have Bayley and Sasha opening the show, and then Drew and Randy in the middle, and then this match at the end. Of course, I could be wrong there, but going by what I know about how they usually book things, and Roman Reigns is main event because he's Roman freaking Reigns. So, that's my guess. But let's get to those matter-of-factly here. Bayley and Sasha, Hell in a Cell, SmackDown Women's Championship. A very longly booked feud here that culminates in the Cell, as most longly booked feuds should culminate, regardless of it being a yearly event. But I don't think this match, ideally, would be the end of this feud. So yes, I think Sasha wins this match. I think Sasha is your new SmackDown Women's Champion and ends this hugely long reign for Bayley on SmackDown and takes what she covets the most. But I think the real story here is that Sasha Banks is terrible at retaining titles once she has won them. And there you go, Roman Reigns doing what the big dog does and retaining that Universal Championship. So, hoorah, and all that. Now, I don't necessarily think they're going to be able to drag out Bayley and Sasha until WrestleMania and some kind of a crowd, because that'd be the ideal point to have that thing. But I don't think this is going to end here, because they're definitely going to bring up that, yeah, Sasha can win them, but she can't keep them. That has been a long-standing thing with her and those singles titles. She definitely defended the tag titles, but not the singles titles. So that one should be interesting. And Drew here going out big with the Finlay at the very beginning. So, next up, my TV just went off. Next up, we have this match, which is your WWE Champion Drew McIntyre defending yet again versus the Viper, Randy Orton. And they have booked Drew so strong since, even before Mania, since like the Rumble. This has been a super strong year for Drew, and definitely as champion, he has been super strong. And I thought last time at Clash of Champions, they were going to put the belt on Randy, and then perhaps have Randy rack up a few title matches and say, hey, let's do Randy and John Cena at Mania for that 17-time deal and beat Flair. But no, that's not going to happen. But I just, at this point, don't see Drew losing it. I think that they're going to continue his reign here until he has a crowd to lose it in front of, or until the return of Brock Lesnar for a Saudi show or something along those lines. But if Randy couldn't get it done last time, or the time before, or before that, I don't think Randy gets it done here at Hell in a Cell. Of course, I could be wrong, because last time I said, hey man, Randy, gonna win it, and he didn't win it. So, I'm still calling Drew here. At this point, I've learned my lesson. I'm not gonna bet against the Scottish psychopath. Now, one final Hell in a Cell match here on the card, and it was Roman Reigns, the big dog, versus Jey Uso in a Hell in a Cell I Quit match. And if Jey Uso quits, him, his brother, his wife, his kids, his family are all going to be excommunicated from the Samoan dynasty. And that is a great stipulation in kayfabe. Alright, I'm sorry. Only if he loses and then is not subservient and does not follow the orders of the tribal chief. So he has to A, lose, and then B, if he doesn't fall in line, right, then he will be excommunicated. And that is a great, this is weird, inverted Boston crab. That is a great stipulation in kayfabe, because there's no way for us to know as fans it's being enforced. Like, there's no way to know. So that makes for a great stipulation, because you get that family drama without actually having real life consequences. Like, instead of a loser leaves the company type thing, it's alright, you leave the family, and we wouldn't know because we aren't there, right? So that is a fantastic step for this match. And much like last time, I don't think there's any way in hell in a cell that Roman Reigns loses here. Come on now. It's the big dog. He's gonna make Jey Uso quit. He might make him pass out and then wake him up to make him quit. Like, that should be a very compelling story and a very compelling matchup once again. And Randy Orton with that draping DDT. Vintage Randy Orton. So, again, Roman Reigns, your victor here at Hell in a Cell. I don't think they can have anything physical yet from Jimmy, right? But there's things you could do here at Hell in a Cell. The question is, does anybody go up top to the top of the cell? Maybe. Like halfway, sure. Top. Nobody here is Shane McMahon or Kevin Owens, so, or Jeff Hardy, for that matter. So I don't, nah. But still, shenanigans. With 3 cell matches, you have to differentiate them somehow. And granted, you have that I Quit stip for the main, right? But you have 2 more. So you need something to make them feel a little bit different over the course of this pay-per-view. And do they add more matches to this show? Probably. We're going to have something on the kickoff. Future Shock DDT. Something has to happen on the kickoff, right? So we shall see what that ends up being. But that is Hell in a Cell for 2020. Maybe next year they can announce more matches before the actual card happens on a Sunday evening. Or not, because they're on the network. So they don't even need to announce anything because you already have the network. They aren't trying to sell you to buy $60 for a pay-per-view, so at that point, really, who cares? Different business model entirely. Picture perfect dropkick. I'm Attack Slug! That's Hell in a Cell. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'll see you next time. I'll see you here. More videos on the channel. Sub, like, comment, all that dumb YouTube analytics stuff. And I'm out. Peace.